Hey everyone, welcome back to Automate Live here in Detroit, Michigan. We're here for Automate 2025, and we're having conversations on how we can make manufacturers and systems integrators more productive when we have a massive labor force problem on the floor. I'm here with BeRobox. I'm talking with David and Alex. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So it's great to have you guys here, especially when we look at all the different robot solutions that are on the floor. A lot of times, companies don't know where to start when it comes to integrating robots. They might not have the workforce available. They might not have the skills and the assets to program yourself. Mm-hmm. So when you guys are coming to the market, you guys are creating a palletizing and a depalletizing solution that's really a plug-and-play product. So I guess tell us about the company, how you guys got started, and then how you're helping companies when it comes to automation.
Yeah, so we come from the custom integration world many years ago, but back in 2021, we started developing our own solution of a standard off-the-shelf palletizer, a very simple version of it. Today, we're the current hardware solution that we're presenting is version 7, very robust, plug and play, mobile. So all of our units are meant to be moved from a line to another, and they can be set up in a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
Thanks to our proprietary software that we've developed, but also for this hardware, the conveyors attached to it. You just want to connect it to an end-of-line conveyor, and you feed boxes to it, and the unit's going to start palletizing right away.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, right? When we look at automation, how can we reduce as much risk to a systems integrator or a end user on the floor as possible? So when you can go out there and you can create this plug-and-play solution that says, hey, you might have operators who are on the floor right now who 8 hours a day, 2 shifts a day are grabbing product off of a conveyor, putting it on here. The idea is you can take that and have a really clean transition from a human task to a robot-focused product.
Right, yeah. I think a lot of that begins with the software, right? Enabling software that basically touches all the components, specifically here, the complex component being the robot itself, typically which had to be done by a robot programmer, needed a great deal of level of expertise. But now with the Stackit software that we provide, it makes robot programming a thing of the past. It really allows users to now focus on the application itself and make it very easy for operators to then be able to configure the palletizing operation within minutes.
Yeah.
And they can switch from one product to the next product, different pallet patterns, all within just a matter of minutes without ever touching the robot code or even worrying about it. Yep.
So BeRobox is a company, you guys work with Universal Robots, you work with Fanuc, you work with Doosan. Mm-hmm. When companies are out there and they're saying, okay, is a end-of-line robot that's a palletizing, depalletization solution for them, what are some questions that they should be thinking about internally? And what are questions that they should be coming to you with when it comes to, is this robot, this fully plug and play, no code, low code solution that BeRobox has created right for them? What are some of those questions that they should be asking?
Well, the technical questions would be the rates, what's the payload that needs to be, what's the weight of the boxes that need to be moved around. It's pretty simple. So pre-qualification of an application for us, what are your rates? What's the weight of your products? And that's it, right?
and that's the whole thing, right? Yeah. You're taking the risk
out
of integrating robots. Because a lot of times when we look at the rise of robot integration over the last 5 years, especially with collaborative robots, palletizing has been the leading point when it comes to deploying the solutions because of the ease of use, because of the simplicity. And when you're able to go out there and you're able to help these companies for the first time deploy that, it's really helpful.
Yeah. So initially when BeRobox started, it was designed around a cobotic palletizer, right? It was a unique product offering because it eliminated the fencing. It had a reduced floor space. So it lent itself extremely well for locations where people were manually palletizing. Yeah. But because of the evolution of the software and its capability, it's now evolved to be able to accommodate both collaborative and industrial robots.
Okay.
So now when it comes to system integrators and users and so on, the biggest question is, what software should we enable so that we have commonality in terms of palletizing throughout the plant floor?
Yeah.
And it's irregardless of what robot solution you use. So basically the robot becomes more of a commodity. We can choose an industrial for high payload, faster speeds, where space is not a constraint, or we can use a collaborative robot, but the software will accommodate either or.
Yeah. So when you look at success stories, I think it's always one of those things is people want to know how well these have worked in the past. Is there a success story that comes to your mind where it might have been a first-time robot integrator that you guys can think of where you went out there, you helped deploy a end-of-line palletizing, depalletizing solution, and it's helped move the company forward when it comes to productivity. Also, we haven't really talked about workforce yet, retaining workers when you're doing these physical tasks over and over and over again. Any stories that you can share in regards to that?
Well, we have plenty of these stories. Once they get their first palletizer on the floor and they start playing around with it, they want more, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time. But the good part of it is, those operators, it's a very boring job, right? Waiting for boxes every 10 seconds and placing them onto pallets. But when you get them a robot unit that they can use, that they can, that they are comfortable with. Now they become a robot programmer and robot operator. So I've seen it, many, many times, like the operator, like being so happy to now, being upgraded to like a robot operator. And now he can, build the pallet patterns himself because it's so easy to do that, or just, tweak, a pallet pattern if the box has changed or if the box is bulky or whatever, right?
So let's dive into that. You're talking about building pallet patterns. And like a lot of times, I think that comes to the software. And you talked a little bit briefly on that before, Alex. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about how you've developed the software for that person who was just a pallet builder before, now is becoming a robot technician through your software. So guide us through some of the key features that we see from that software side of doing that pallet building, doing that cycle. How do you build up a variety of screws? If you want to SKUs from one line to another line, what does that ease of use look like?
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure. So I'm gonna start by telling you how it actually even came to this point, right? Yeah. So the software itself was developed because BeRobox had a customer, and their very first palletizing customer, and this customer had very specific requirements and very non-technical type workforce, right? So when BeRobox developed this software, they had to develop it with that in mind. Yeah. And thus, it actually ended up becoming what we see Stack It to be, which is the easiest software to use. So for you to be able to configure a pallet pattern and then switch over and make another pallet pattern very easily and store all this. So basically, the software is very intuitive. It actually goes through step by step. The screens function just like an iPhone would, where you swipe from screen to screen. You put in the dimensions of the box, the payload of the box, and then there's an AI pallet generator that allows the system to then optimize the best pallet pattern for your use. Mm-hmm. You can manually develop a pallet pattern, you save it, and then you're off and running. There's a really neat feature that's also now included in our newest release, which is recovery mode. And this allows an operator, because there could be a situation where the box gets dropped. Yeah. Somebody removes a box from the pallet just for test. So this allows them to go ahead and hit recovery mode, and they can start palletizing from any type of configuration on the box to start palletizing up again. So it's the second day shift or recovering from a fault. It's phenomenal.
Well, I think that just goes into when you talked about you're on your 7th revision, I think you mentioned, of this design. Those are the things that you're learning along the way. Because like the one thing we're learning about in manufacturing is it's never the same, right? There's always variation when it comes to this palletization. Hey, maybe the tape isn't taped right, or the products is deforming a little bit, so that box is bulging in one area, right? You need to have that flexibility when it comes to those designs. So talk to us more about when you guys are developing this solution where it's just no code, very limited. How are you making sure the solution is flexible enough to adapt to a wide variety of use cases, but still have that low risk solution, right? Because you're helping both systems integrators, so you could work right with a systems integrator and you can white label that product, or you could work directly with a manufacturer who might want to buy this itself. How are you creating that flexibility, but also keeping it as simple to use as possible?
So I would say the modularity of our solutions. So we have developed different model units,
Okay.
but also different option packages, like the slip sheet option would be one of them. Depalletizing, I'm sorry, adding like cameras and stuff. So it's all modular. Even the conveyor, it can be adjusted in height. It could be adjusted in orientation, accommodating to accommodate receiving boxes from the left side or the right side. Yeah. So it's all modular, all adjustable. But the good thing is, when we ship the unit out of our factory, it's pre-calibrated. And it's ready to be used. So as soon as the customer receives the unit, they just roll it in place, because all of our solutions are on casters. They just roll it in place, connect their end of line conveyor to the pallets conveyor, and they start palletizing right away.
Yeah. Yep.
So the modularity and
and I wanted to add also, especially for the system integrators and OEMs that are out there.
Yeah.
That the Stack It software itself, which we now call the Stack It bundle, is available for any OEM. So when we talk about flexibility and modularity, it lends itself extremely well for OEMs and system integrators to embrace our software, develop around their specifications. Yeah. So there might be a need where you do want to mount a robot directly off the frame of the case packer. And then start palletizing right off the base. And you're able to do that and leverage the flexibility of the software. System integrators know, and they have relationships with a lot of end users, their customers, who understand the customer spec. And so we love to supply our software to them so they can design a system that accommodates the customer spec, still leveraging the best software that's in the industry called Stack It, right? So it's very interesting where it's coming. So you can get a turnkey system from BeRobox, or you can use Stack It bundle to build your own, leveraging the same software, because it really is the most flexible software in the market today.
100%. So BeRobox, you guys work with Universal Robots, Fanuc, Doosan. You work with both industrial and collaborative robots. Right. And then, of course, a wide variety of industries as well. Really, wherever we're putting in a box, it could be automotive, it could be medical, it could be med tech, it could be consumer goods.
Right.
When we look at some of the biggest, I guess you could say, pushbacks that we get from manufacturers, to say, oh, the ROI might not be there. If it goes down, I don't know how to get it back up and running again. How would you say, or what are a couple of things you would want to say to a first-time robot user who might have some apprehension around adopting it? How would you help them overcome that risk?
So many times when we look at, and we have these questions about ROI and RIR. Yeah. The calculation is always done around specific headcounts. Yeah. But there's a lot of other things that come into play when you talk about the return on investment for these systems. One is training for these staff, or being able to have quality products and so on. So when you think about it, when you implement a flexible solution and you're able to not only deploy it in multiple different areas, right? So you're running a short line here, and then tomorrow you run a different line. Yeah. You have the flexibility of moving that and not having to train employees, on the 100%. Pallet pattern. Also to be able to have perfectly, configured systems without waste or drop products or damaged products is another plus. So the flexibility of the system allows itself to definitely benefit the ROI calculation. And then once the system's in place, they realize that they love to have a dedicated system, which is interesting. So initially they thought they needed only one to service maybe 2-3 lines. Yeah. And then they realized that they really would like to have an individual unit for each one because of what they were able to accomplish with that. So they realize ROI after they've actually implemented a system, because they realize all the savings they got. That's not just a headcount, but it's gone through training, HR, having to hire people and staff that position. It's incredible. Yeah.
I think it's when we talk about hiring in HR, when you look at, you're improving the quality of life on the packaging, on the manufacturing, on the processing floor, right? ROI oftentimes we look at is how much does general labor cost, right? But you don't put in you put an account. Okay, how much is training? What about work comp? If all of a sudden, if we have people who are picking up 40-pound boxes over an 8-hour period of time, we're making these tasks that are boring and dark and dirty and dangerous. We're eliminating those tasks, putting in much safer, higher tech, higher paying jobs as well, with solutions like you guys are having from BeRobox. So as we wrap up here in just a minute, if people want to learn more about your solutions, what you're bringing with the Stack It bundle, with the plug-and-play solutions, how do they reach more? How do they reach out to you guys? What's the best place to do it?
Well, our website, BeRobox.com, BeRobox.com. We're here at the Automate Show, obviously, booth 6236.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here all week. So
Awesome. Well, make sure to check them out. If you are not here at Automate Live right now, go online, check them out online, check them out on their social media pages as well. And maybe now's the time. Maybe now's the time for you to look at, this is how I begin to integrate and adopt robots on the manufacturing, on the material handling floor to remove those dark, dirty, dull, dangerous tasks and make a solutions with BeRobox.
Awesome.
Well, David and Alex, appreciate you guys so much for your time. And we'll see you guys back here in just a moment for more from Automate Live.